wrestling fans, it is I, Steve Fall, and welcome back to another edition of NBC's 10 Count. On this edition, I'm talking to Big Swole. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
We're flexing. Hold on.
We're
I gotta.
a little
let me just get that. It's not.
Just push it up. Just push it all the way up. It's fine.
Your muscles are bigger than mine.
It's a mentality. It's fine. It's not
true.
About...
I feel I have muscles in my brain, not my arms.
Right. It's in
Sometimes,
here. In here.
I'm here too. I have heart. I have a heart of gold, not muscles of gold. But how you doing? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. It rained today, so I'm loving it. I'm loving it. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I can't wait to talk to you about so many topics because I know when you speak, the world listens. And it seems that sometimes when you say something, either people are really happy or really angry. So let's jump into a topic that will either make people happy or really angry. Sound good? All right.
Let's do it.
Recently, MJF did not show up to a meet and greet before AEW's Double or Nothing, and the wrestling media went insane. They were, we have plane tickets. We don't have plane tickets. He's not there. He's gambling. He's not gambling. No one knew what was going on, yet people were reporting that they did. And maybe they had some information, maybe they didn't. So the question for you is, was this all a work to buy more pay-per-views? Was it a shoot? Did it turn into a work? Did it turn into a shoot? Like, what exactly do you think is happening here?
Hey man, I personally would definitely think like, okay, you can definitely work yourself into a shoot. That's for sure. But I just think that it's just people having a little bit of disagreements. And if I were them, I would milk this for all of its worth, in all honesty, because people are chomping at the bit for this story every single step of the way, even though he has still so much time left on his contract. I'm like, hey, if they're coming to the cistern, then, let them drink.
And do you think, though, when someone doesn't show up to a meet and greet, it's kind of a kick in the face of the fans because you're paying your hard-earned money to meet people like you, MJF, all the AEW wrestlers, and then you show up, maybe you travel from across the world just to go to this event, and he's not there. And if you're trying to work people, that's really not good for the bottom line for your fans and money.
No, yeah. Thinking about them, it's just like I would be upset if I spent time and energy and money and nothing happened. Like I didn't get to meet my favorite superstar or whatever. I'd definitely be very upset. I mean, because I personally love meet and greets. I love having that interaction with people and just kind of just getting that little tidbit, pretty much getting your money's worth. I just like meeting new people and stuff, and I love meet and greets. I don't know. Anybody else may not like them, but I do.
Well, it's great to meet you right now and greet you. Though the MJF story gets even more bizarre because, of course, people are like, oh, he left. He's the first match. He gets squashed. He gets put on a stretcher. He's talking on Dynamite as we record this. Like, there is just so much meat on this bone. And maybe you let it ride until the end, until there's no more meat left, or you reveal your cards and say, oops, we made a mistake. This is real.
I mean, either way, it's a good chance that things are going to turn out in your favor. True.
And then with a character like MJF, I know I've seen him. He never breaks his character. He'll go to meet and greets and he'll flip off little kids and make fun of people in wheelchairs and things like that because he's a heel. But at the same time, when you think about it, it hurts fans when you play these little games of like working the boys. WCW did it so many times that eventually people stopped caring because they were like, every time I feel like something's happening, are you working me or is this really happening in front of me? So your personal experience with MJF, do you think that someone in the company could be like, oh, I'm going to go in for business to myself and not tell Tony?
No, that wouldn't happen. No. They're usually 100% upfront with him about a lot of different things. So I don't think anybody's trying to screw anybody over. It's just wrestling.
It's not money.
It's always about money. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to get paid. Everybody wants to take care of their families. Everybody wants to create a mass general wealth and streams of income and revenue. So at the end of the day, we want our money, but also, hey, I'm not finna bite this hand.
True. Don't bite the butcher. Or you get the blade.
Right. Oh, you get the blade.
Maybe.
I love it.
So moving on, though, on your Swole World podcast, you mentioned diversity being one of the reasons that you were stepping away from AEW. And currently, if you've been tuning into the product, have you noticed their progression in the diversity category? And have you noticed really any changes?
Yes, it's been having some good little, snippets of diversity here and there. I'm kind of just waiting on that huge big change where I'm like, okay, I can see the product value. I can see them pushing this person or these people to the moon. But so far, what I'm seeing, it's steps being made. I just want them to connect a little bit more. I really want to like deep dive into those storylines that just made wrestling fun and great for people like me who just love watching the product, love watching the art unfold.
Mm-hmm. So when you left AEW at the time, there weren't a lot of diversity there, and the people who were there, it was very slim.
Yeah, it was a lot of, I saw a lot of people, that I could relate to. It's just that nothing was just happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, it's a new company, but after some years, I was just like, okay, what's next? Because I would tell people that closed mouths don't get fed, because I feel like there was a lot of people who just would stand around and wait for something to happen, because that's how it is in wrestling. You get told what to do. And I'm from a whole different side of the world where I'm like, no, I'm going to tell you exactly what I would like to do, because I want, control of my career. If I'm going to be tired, I want to be tired for myself.
Do you think speaking out might have, because for me, watching you and Britt Baker, for me, were the women's division. Like you had Sheeta, you had Nyla Rose, and they were great too. But yet I felt like the main storyline that ever really like turned out anything was you and Britt Baker. So you standing up for yourself, do you think that hurt you or helped you?
I feel like it helped me. I mean, I don't take anything like, I guess when other people give their opinions and other people get their statements on me and they're like, oh, this, you speaking out caused such a negative effect on your career. I'm like, no, I take everything as is a positive, because I need to speak out for myself. If I'm not going to speak up for me, then who the hell is going to speak up for me?
Yes. Yeah. And recently another big story in the wrestling world, Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out of an episode of Monday Night Raw, because the story is they were told, hey, this is what your characters are going to do. And they were women's tag team champions. And there was many rumors surrounding them as you're both going to go off and you're going to fight the champions. You're both going to lose, but you're still tag team champions. So how does that help them? So the story is, they walked into John Laurinaitis' office. They threw the belts down, said, we're not going to do what you want us to do. We're leaving. So do you think they should have maybe did what they were supposed to do and keep their mouth shut? Or, as you just brought up, they opened their mouths and they decided to stand up for themselves and their characters and their value, and they decided to leave. So where do you stand on this situation?
I am 100% behind people standing up for themselves. Like, that's what you should do 100% of the time. You are your number one priority, because I don't like, people like to say, oh, your kids, oh, your job. No, none of that is going to function if you're not okay. So you please take care of yourself and your well-being. And if they felt like they weren't being represented in a light that is pleasing unto themselves, then closed mouths don't get fed. Speak up and speak up some more until some change gets done. Because half the time you have these writers, these producers, they're living in their own land. They're trying to appease whoever their boss is, and they got a million things on their plate.
Right.
So it's up to you to take control of your career and your pathways and be like, no, this is the direction I would like to go, and this is why. Like anytime I went and I spoke about what I wanted to do with my career, I had a reason why and a follow-up. What would happen next? Because I don't want it to go to chance.
There's a lot of that in the wrestling world, sometimes rolling the dice. And I interviewed Sasha Banks, and I asked her before she left, I asked her about, the rumor was you supposed to go fight Charlotte Flair. at WrestleMania, win the belt, but Ronda got brought in the last minute, so everything changed, and that's why Naomi and Sasha became tag team champions. And she was like, she like didn't want to answer it, but then kind of threw shade at Charlotte as like, no, that didn't happen. But also kind of a side wink. So, and then I interviewed Cameron, Ariane Andrew, former Funkadactyl tag team partner of Naomi. I kind of asked the same thing, and she was like, we were supposed to, the Funkadactyls were supposed to stick around. They were supposed to win the tag team titles. They were supposed to do something. With Ronda coming in, it just jacked up 3 people's plans. And for me, asking this question, I think it comes down to, is it disrespect, or is it, hey, we just, our business model is go, 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 and we change on the fly at any time. And if we change on the fly and it might hurt you, accept it or move out of the way.
Yeah, it seems like in wrestling, it's always a lead, follow, or get out of the way type of industry. And sometimes you're going to get bumped. Sometimes it's not going to be your time in a sense. But again, that's why you have to stay ready. Then you won't have to get ready. I'm always telling, like Cedric, I'm always saying, like, you have to pitch. You have to take your career in your own entire hands, and you have to get the ball rolling. So sometimes you'll have people like Ronda coming in, and now they're getting all the shine. I'm not finna hate on you because you're getting all the shine. No, that's fuel. That's fuel for me. Like, oh, okay, you want to come in and take the spot? No. You're just sitting there. You're the substitute teacher. I'm the full-time teacher here. It's all about how you see things.
Now, have you ever been contacted by the WWE about coming in?
Outside of the Mae Young Classic, not necessarily anything that I can say. I mean, but hey, it's up there. I'm open and receptive to anything that the universe wants to put into my lap, and that's why I'm just like, I'm just trying to be as positive as possible. You never know.
I'm just surprised that also Impact Wrestling or even NWA haven't been like knocking at your door, because their Knockouts division in Impact Wrestling is the best women's division currently in wrestling. And so not adding you to it while you're not employed by, either AEW or WWE, to me, that's shocking. And again, you can't probably talk about it, but it's like, would you go to Impact Wrestling? Because you have Mia Yim, you got Chelsea Green, you got Deonna Purrazzo, like Jordan Grace, Tasha Steelz. Like, they have a massive amount of talent you could be in the ring with.
They do. I would love to be a part of Impact. It's just, my thing now is that I've just been so vocal about not signing anywhere. I'm enjoying my peace. Like I said, my main reason of leaving AEW was my peace. If I don't feel like I have peace, I can't operate. So I feel like signing somewhere is obligation. And I just want to be obligated to my faith, my family, and myself. And wrestling is a part of me. So I just like having my own schedule, but I would love to come in on like different offshoots and just wrestle, just enjoy and have a good story.
Again, I'm surprised. Once you and AEW parted ways, I was like, 3 months now, she's going to be, in Impact Wrestling. And here we are. And I'm like, what's the holdup? What's the holdup here? You brought up your outside independent bookings. How's that going? Like, do you feel like you have more freedom? You just brought up, do you feel like you have more freedom and creativity to design your character in the way you feel it should be?
Completely. It's giving me time to just sit down and say, where do I want to take Swole? What's next for me? And just having that freedom, like, okay, I'm going to take this booking because I want to. I am no longer in the, excuse me. Did it go away? Okay. Are we back? Okay. Yeah. Like, I'm no longer in the I have to because I have to stage of my life. I'm doing things because I want to. So when I work at places like Battle Club Pro, which I'm still the Icons champion of, those are places that I want to expand with that talent. I want to make something, so I feel like I'm just more in the creative than let me go here and get myself over.
Because again, I'm just really shocked that no one has nabbed you up yet. We'll have to see 6 months from now when I try to contact you and I have to go through the WWE or Impact Wrestling for this.
I know, right? Look, my name is in the rooms. It's just a matter of me walking into them. So
Reform the Hurt Business. Get it going. Get it going.
I know. Look, listen, that would have been so. It would have been everything just to be a part of the Hurt Business.
To me, it's bizarre. We're getting a little topic here. We'll talk about it for a second. Hurt Business, to me, was one of the best groups going during the height of the pandemic. And yet, out of nowhere, there's a picture of Bobby and Cedric and Shelton and MVP. MVP is sitting in a chair. Let me guess, you have it, right? Yep, there it is. That is the picture I was describing.
Yes, that's the one.
That's a great picture, by the way. Who designed that for you?
Pete got that for all the guys.
Oh, nice.
They have all these little trinkets and stuff together. They're such pros.
That's amazing, and that's just exactly what I'm talking about. Is the if you go on Twitter and you type in Hurt Business, it is like just covered in support and confusion on, hey, you were doing this thing, we're all checking champion to the world champion. Like right before we got to WrestleMania, where the pandemic was allowing fans again, it was like, oh, the Hurt Business is gonna break up. Everyone's like, what is going on? What does this mean?
Right. I was in shock too. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, you guys carried through the whole pandemic. You carried. Oh, it's insane.
It's confusing to me because I've talked to so many different former WWE superstars, and they all kind of give the same, like, they don't want to bury the company, and I wouldn't either. They bring up like, well, plans keep changing. You think you're going to do one thing, and suddenly you're completely, next day you're dressed as a clown, and it's like, what happened there? And in the Hurt Business, you know, obviously you're a big supporter for many different reasons, but you have to be. It would be insulting if you weren't.
Right. Didn't support his career. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. But what did you think of Hurt Business breaking up? That, to me, that was just confusing.
I went on a tirade around the house. Like, I was definitely not happy about it. I just thought it was insane. Like, you have something good, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it type of situation. And I was just like, I wasn't in the mood to just wait it out. Oh, let's just wait and see. I already automatically knew what it was. And I was like, this is not cool. This will be one of the things that will be on the top 10 most regretted, like, decisions for WWE history type of thing, because they were money. They were absolute money. I mean, I had people coming up to me, I had no idea about wrestling or anything, and they were just like, oh, the brothers in the suits. Like, my husband's one of those brothers in the suit.
And that's the thing too. It's like, you know, you get into a different realm of people are trying to be like, oh, they're like the Nation of Domination. I'm like, no. These are just four dudes who are beating the crap out of people, looking fine, winning championship belts. There was no comparison to the Nation of Domination. Just because of their skin color. And I'm like, no, that's not it at all. Like, let's back up for a second. They had a whole different, they just wanted to win titles and be on top.
The fact that they were black was a bonus. Yeah.
Especially for kids. Again, I go to so many shows, and so many times I always hear about is representation. And if you don't have that in any business, doesn't matter, just wrestling, any sport, you feel left out as a child, not seeing someone who looks like you on TV. Absolutely. And I think even for you in AEW, there was a diversity issue, possibly, as you brought up on your show, yet there were children and grown men cheering for you because they saw themselves in you. Now, how does that make you feel?
Amazing. Just to be that light, you know, for someone, just to uplift them or bring them joy. Like, that's everything to me. Just to be able to put a smile on someone's face, like that's why I love wrestling so much. You know, just to be able to touch lives is like one of the most important things in my life right now.
It's amazing. It's cool. It's a brilliant thing. Everyone I think who's a wrestler, some people like you know put their nose up at wrestling, and I'm always like, why would you ever do that? They're putting smiles on kids' faces. They're entertaining you. You do the poses. People do poses, and they'll do the Hulk Hogan, the finger in the ear. Like, it's not something that people are like, oh, it didn't exist. Like, everyone watched wrestling at one point in their lives.
Right. Like, don't knock on it. Like, you watch it, and there's something, of course, about like Mania season, or you know, that just like gets you so excited. Like, you could not be watching for the whole entire year, but let that Mania season come around and some weekend a Flow Rider song pops up and you're just like, yeah.
I'm so
like
happy for a Flow Rider.
Like you're back in the spirit. Like, you're like, yeah, it's wrestling season.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Let's go to something that obviously is going to be an interesting topic to bring up. Now, have you spoken with Tony Khan since he tweeted in December about how he let your contract expire because he felt like your wrestling wasn't good enough?
No, I haven't spoken with him. I mean, but we still have like all the avenues open to like engage with and have contact with each other. But no,
Nothing. Because fans still tweet to Tony constantly, no matter what situation it is. Like he recently had a very upsetting video appear online about him being very mad at Eric Bischoff, or anything that involves an apology from him. He apologizes, but then people in the comments or the quotes are like, well, we're still waiting for your apology for Swole. And do you think it's too late now for an apology?
I don't think it's never too late to forgive someone and to speak your piece and speak your wrong and stuff like that. Like, it's never too late for that. I don't ever want to close the door on something like that because that affects my healing, that affects my heart, as much as it could affect someone else. So if he were to call me like a year from now and apologize, hey, cool. Whenever it's set on his heart to do so, then so be it. But if it's not, then that's okay as well. I'm literally like Pontius Pilate. I wash my hands of it because I know my truth and I'm standing in it. And like, I know that was just for show. So.
Yeah. And also it happened, I believe, on New Year's Eve, and it was around like 8:00. And I'm not saying this is true, but the internet really believes that Tony might have celebrated New Year's a little early. And when you have your phone in your hand and you're feeling a little special inside, sometimes words come out that you don't mean. And do you think that he didn't mean that and he was just underneath an emotional microscope?
Probably. Because I noticed that when people were always tweeting about him, they were like, he has a habit of just being I guess a little crass, a little sassy in a sense. And him typing that and coming back at me, I was like, okay, I know that this can't be the real you because this doesn't match any of our previous conversations at all. So I don't know exactly what's going on or who you're talking to or who around you, but it's like that's not the TK that has been portrayed to me. So
right. Yeah. So the real version you don't believe was the person who tweeted that. It was just.
Of course not. I believe that it's just you got consumed with the hoopla, just like a whole bunch of people did when they like engaged with the tweet and everything, and even people that work there and different comments and stuff that they've made. I've had people come up and just talk to me or apologize or send me a text message like, hey, I've handled that badly. You're just when you're the topic of the discussion, and everybody like wants to get on it, everybody wants to make a joke, everyone wants to be funny about it or anything like that, and it's just like an addiction to like the gossip. So when that calms down and you're back to reality, like, you know what, my bad, because Swole's actually a nice person. The clarity comes back.
Yeah, there were some comments from, I'm not going to mention their names, but there were comments from AEW wrestlers on that subject. And some people didn't end up, being re-signed, or suddenly they were canceled, their contracts were canceled, or people who said something got immediately attacked on Twitter for being the company line versus supporting you. But I think some people, I don't know, maybe you understand as well, is they work for that company still. Right. And you mentioned, feed your family, you gotta take care of your family. Well, guess what? Being quiet probably was a better idea than trying to side with the company versus siding with you. It just made them look bad.
Right. Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Right.
type of situation. Like, because I understand that people, you got mouths to feed, including your own. But if that's not truly how you really feel, then maybe silence is golden.
Yeah, I do believe that's the case for the situation because, again, you eventually commented about Tony Khan's tweet, and boy, oh boy, there were the diehard fans of AEW. They came right after you. They said some crazy things online and very offensive. I'm assuming, I'm not sure, but were there death threats, and how did you?
Oh yeah.
How did you handle this mentally? Because I can't imagine being attacked all day being a fun thing.
The first thing I did was I definitely changed my notifications on Twitter, which helped tremendously because I was like, I don't need to see any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started to like close myself off and just do my own type of shadow work, just work on me because I just couldn't be stuck on Twitter thinking about what people think of me. Like, I know it's not true. Like, who are you to me? Like, you don't put no food in my belly. Like, you don't rub my back at night. Like, you don't put my kids to sleep. You don't do nothing to add any type of luxury or any type of prosperity to my life. Then like, I don't care. I don't care what you think of me.
But getting a death threat over commenting over someone who runs a company about wrestling seems very, very over the line.
Very, very over the line. Honestly, the death threats, it was nothing new because I've gotten them before throughout my tenure of working with AEW. It was them speaking on my daughter, which was just like that. I was like, okay, we're done. Mm-hmm. And we're done here. I was like, you can say all the different crap you want to say about me, but everybody knows you don't talk about anybody's mama. You don't talk about anybody's kids. And like that, it just includes family in general, but especially the mom, especially the kids. And I was just like, what like in your brain caused you to think that, hey, it's all right for me to say X, Y, and Z about someone else's child? Yes. Like, those are fighting words. Like, okay, I'm done with talking to you. If you want to meet me somewhere so we can scrap and be done with it, because you need to be punched in the jaw. For what you said, because actions definitely have consequences where I'm from.
Of course. And I just think Twitter, the people, my experience with wrestling fans and Twitter in general is anyone is not afraid to say anything to anyone on Twitter because there are no consequences except being reported and removed from Twitter. And all you have to do is open a new account and just start doing it again underneath a new name. That one gets blocked and so on and so forth. So I guess bringing up your family, and especially, again, your daughter, to me, again, is a gigantic, hey, she is playing a character on TV. Okay. Like, this is a TV character and there's a real person who plays that character. Like, can you not realize that these two people are not the same? Attacking you as a character, sure. Right. Oh, you hurt Britt Baker. But bringing up your daughter, it's just insanity. Again, mentally, I don't know how you handled it, but kudos to you for doing it. But you still type in your name. I can still see them. Mm-hmm. People, how do you feel that people are still, after this is December, we're in June? Yeah, people are still attacking you. Or what do you feel about that?
I feel like it's because I'm a main character. And it's not my fault that they are side characters in their own lives. Mm. Like, hey, I'm not finna be worried about you. You're literally an NPC. Like, you have no control over your whole entire life, and all you want to do is talk about me. Okay, that's good for you. And I hope you enjoy your life. And you keep giving me hits. You keep talking about me, keep bringing me up. I continue to keep being booked and busy. So thank you for helping.
You can laugh about it now, but I can't imagine that first week being a laughable situation.
Oh, that first week was horrible. It was horrible. I cried so much. I had so much anger. I had so much built up, but then it just got to a point where I did a lot of praying, and basically God was like, you can't keep using your energy for these people. That's how they win. That's how they have control over others, is they they siphon off this energy off of you, and next thing you know, you're thinking about what they're saying, you're looking for what they're saying.
Yes.
You know, you're responding to what they say. I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like, I'm raising up an adult. You know, I'm married, I'm a wife, I'm a homemaker. Like, I have these things, I have these goals and ambitions. I'm working on my book. Like, I have things I gotta do besides worry about you.
Yeah. I know plenty of people who vanity search themselves, and they find positive and negative things. And unfortunately with you, I think you're getting the tail end of the negative still. But again, like I brought up earlier, anytime something happens in AEW and Tony Khan reacts to it in a tweet, the comments and the quotes are always like, where was that energy for Swole?
Right. It's definitely shown me the level of respect that I have in this business in any way. Especially during Mania weekend, I really felt the love of Wally Mania, where it was just a reassurance of like, hey, we're behind you type of thing. And that's how I felt seeing some of those comments and seeing some of those retweets, like, hey, no, where like you said, where was this energy? Yeah, hey, you can do all this, but you can't apologize. And
we'll have to see. Now, is the door open? If AEW called you up and said, hey, we want you to come back, would you come back?
No, not right now. I mean, the door is always open. Like I said before, I don't want to close anything to what the universe has, because who knows, it may loop around, may come full circle. I don't want to close off my blessings wherever they may come. But for right now, I just want to do me. I mean, but if it's in the future and he wants somebody to come in there and pull out some bangers and, actually, put out some storylines, because, hey, I'm all down for it. I just want to help wrestling be better than when I found it.
I think you versus Jade would be a banger of a
match.
Yeah,
we used to talk about that all the time, because every time after training, I'm like, hey, let's stay a little bit extra. Let me show you a little bit of this. Let me show you a little bit of that. And it's just, I think it'd be a great match.
She's, again, I think out of everyone since the beginning of AEW, some people have been put into a box and protected, and she's one of those people for good reason. Her presentation, the way she looks, the way everything about her presentation is A+ work there. Do you agree?
Yeah. The whole presentation is great. Absolutely.
She got the baddies with her. Like, there's so much potential with that group.
Yeah, there's so much potential. They just gotta expand on it. Expand on what they have. And I just want to get into the nooks and crannies of the paragraph. Like right now I have a good thesis. I want full paragraphs. I want to know the story.
We'll have to see on that. Now, you mentioned your outside projects. You have a podcast, Whole World. Now, where can fans find that? And also, when do they air? Because sporadically they appear, and they're always about different topics. And do you have a format going into these, or are you just like, I'm gonna spill my guts and see what happens?
I used to have a format because I had certain things I want to talk about during certain months. But now it's just more sporadic. It's what I want to talk about. It's just getting everything off of my chest, because I feel like I'm in a position where, I'm not signed to anybody. I can say whatever I want to say. And my whole thought process, I'm like, who's going to beat me? Right.
Who's going to call you up and tell you do something wrong? Who's going to
call me up like, Swole, you can't say this. You can't say that. Like, no, I'm going to say something, and someone needs to. So that's just kind of where my head's at right now. And they can find it on the Call-In app or on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. And it's usually every Saturday. And it'll be that way until the end of this month. And then I'll be going on an every 2 weeks type of situation. Life is just getting so hectic and crazy.
Of course. Well, that's a good thing for you, I believe, right?
Yeah.
You did. If I was listening correctly, you're working on a book?
Yes. It's my life testimony, because I've just had so many different things happen, and a lot of things happen with near deaths. I'd be like,
excuse me?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I've been struck by lightning. I've been paralyzed, of course, temporarily from the neck down. I flatlined in the back of my mom's car. Let's see what else has happened. My sister almost drowned me when I was 2. I was lost and I got picked up at the police station like when I was 4 years old. So my mom had to like come and get me, and they had to identify me as like this lost child.
Right.
So this has been like some crazy different types of attacks here and there. Yeah.
Have you
like
played the
I've had
lottery yet? It sounds like
That's-
people always bring up it's better chance of getting struck by lightning than win the lottery. Well, you know what you should do? You play the lottery every day.
Right. I should. I once had the numbers, but my mom didn't play it, and it was like a week late. And still to this day, she's like, I should have played those numbers. And I was like,
that happened to me once, many years ago. I was like joking playing the numbers from Lost when one of the characters won the lottery, and I was joking, and I played him like 2 weeks, and I didn't play him the week after, and of course,
and it hit.
It hit.
Oh.
I was like,
no. Why did he do this? Why did he
maybe I could convince someone that I did do it. It was quite an experience. Yeah, but that's great. I did not know that you have survived so many near-death experiences. I guess what's next? Getting run over by bulls and surviving that?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I once had this new virus that they should have been named after me, but they ended up naming it the nightmare virus. Yeah, I was like patient zero. It just types of crazy stuff. Yeah.
So you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I'm gonna guess that you did have COVID at one point.
I feel like it was before, because it was like a year and a half before COVID was even a thing. And it was the exact same symptoms. I'm not saying that I was like the first out here. You
didn't test and confirm or anything.
But it was definitely very, very similar, but kind of like worse, because they thought it was like a cancer mass in my lung. But really it was just two different parts of like pneumonia that like separated. It was some weird stuff.
Well,
yeah, that's what I get for hanging out in Brooklyn. Like I came back from Brooklyn, and next thing you know, I was sick as a dog, man. Must have been
my God. Is there a date for this book? Because I need to buy this now to hear more crazy stories from you.
Hopefully next year everything will be finalized, and I'll talk to my brother, be like, hey, put this out for me, because he works at a publishing company. Like, do this.
Just slip it in the inbox.
Yeah, just slip it in there. Like, hey, look, short little book. Everybody's gonna want to read it. Be like, what the heck is happening to this girl?
Again, if I don't know what you're gonna name it, but if it's called like near-death experiences times 100, then I think it could make a good sell. I think it could sell. So, but one final question though: what are your goals for the year? Again, you're talking about so many things you're planning and doing already, but what about the rest of the year?
The rest of the year, I just want to live in peace. I just want to live in abundance, and I just want to have a soft rest of the year where I just do whatever I want to do. And like, it's been pretty good. Just wake up every day and I decide what I want to do. That is my goal, just to continue to have luxury and time.
Well, that sounds very nice. That sounds
like
that sounds like a candle scent I want to buy. Like
luxury and time.
Oh, let me smell it. Oh, it smells so relaxing. I feel like I could just fall asleep.
Like warm. It smells very warm.
The cookie one's great, but this one sounds better.
Right. This should be the one.
Well, thank you so much, Swole, for being here on NBC's Tank Count. We talked about everything underneath the sun. I needed to ask some questions. I needed your answers on MJF and Sasha and Naomi, the Tony Khan tweet. I'm very happy that you came out on the other side in a positive manner, because that was a ridiculous situation. That the fans attacking you was just unnecessary. And, I see still today very young fans who were part of a documentary recently, and she received an awful voicemail. And I'm just like, what is happening in this world? Jay Shell, she has a Wrestling with Whiteness, and documentary out right now. You can check it out. And I saw some voicemail sent to her, and it was very disturbing. And I was thinking to myself, like, what's wrong with people? What's wrong with people? But
right. Like, why don't you like outspoken Black women? Like, what's up?
I don't know. It seems to be a pattern on Twitter, and that's unfortunate. But, you know, but thank you again so much for being here. I've been Steve Fall. She's Swole. Have a great day. We'll see you next time for another edition of NBC's 10 Count. Bye.
Bye.